I think, generally speaking, not in every single case, less government is better than more, because you don't want too powerful a government because you may not like the next government. A disease of liberalism in the 60s and 70s, when I came of political age, and now it's a horrible metastasis in the right, that would say that, oh, well, let's see, in order to figure out whether this particular gun regulation is constitutional under the Second Amendment, we have to look very specifically at the statutes that were passed in Maryland in 1645.
What do failed casinos, defunct airlines, and a crumbling marriage have in common? For Donald Trump, they all came crashing down when George Conway unleashed a calm, brutal truth bomb mid-interview. But how did Conway's criticism hit so hard it sent Trump's campaign and personal life into disarray? Keep watching to find out. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What happens when you try to take on Donald Trump without name-calling or outrageous insults?
This administration is profoundly evil in ways that are difficult for Americans to comprehend. Now, the problem is he's back.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that even if the American people get their act together on him, and they're starting to realize that. I mean, there was this great article, I hate to say great article. We have reached a stage of illegality, immorality, and depravity in a federal administration that no one could have ever thought of.
George Conway gave us the answer. You hit him with facts, and you do it calmly, because there's nothing Trump hates more than someone exposing his failures in a way he can't argue against. George Conway, an attorney known for being a sharp critic of Trump, sat down for an interview that turned out to be more like a surgical takedown. Without raising his voice or even cracking a smile, Conway listed off Trump's greatest hits. Only this time, by greatest hits, we mean a collection of epic failures. Trump's infamous Atlantic City casinos that went bankrupt, his airline that barely lasted long enough to board passengers, and of course, Trump University, which became less about education and more about lawsuits. Conway brought these up like a teacher reminding a student about all their unfinished homework, and the weight of it all was simple, yet crushing. The whole approach wasn't angry, it wasn't loud. It was cold, clear, and factual, and that for Trump was unbearable.
It's a cult. I mean, that's the only way you can describe it. And everyone has, it consists of basically two groups of people, mostly. I mean, that's basically what just happened here with Nikki Haley. And the person who has really lost it the most is Donald Trump. Some people who have basically completely lost it. The people we see in the House of Representatives. And then there are people who are basically afraid to call out.
He thrives on bombastic clashes, the kind where he can fire back insults or deflect. But here, there was nothing to deflect. It was a wall of truth, and Trump was cornered. And here's the kicker. This calm, almost indifferent delivery was what made it sting the most. Conway didn't look like someone trying to tear Trump down emotionally. He looked like someone reading off a balance sheet. The effect of those facts, the failed business ventures, the massive missteps, was like watching Trump's image of himself as the ultimate businessman crumble in real time. For someone like Trump, whose entire political and personal brand relies on this idea of being a winner, facts about failure aren't just inconvenient, they're devastating. Predictably, Trump did what Trump does. Tweets started flying, with insults aimed at Conway and anyone else he could blame for his own failures. But instead of disproving Conway, the overreaction made it clear how deeply this got under his skin. It wasn't just a blow to his ego, it was a crack in the armor of the Trump myth. And this public embarrassment wasn't just going to blow over, it was about to seep into his personal life, and that's where things really got messy. What happens when loyalty stops being a virtue and starts looking more like a trap? In Trump's world, where loyalty is demanded like a royal decree, it turned into a full-blown mess, and nowhere was that chaos more obvious than inside his own marriage. George Conway's criticism wasn't just a slap at Trump's reputation. It sparked a meltdown behind closed doors, ripping at the seams of both his campaign and personal life. And sitting right in the middle of it all? Kellyanne Conway, juggling the impossible roles of Trump's defender and George's wife. Kellyanne stuck by Trump like a guard dog, shielding him from attacks and spinning stories to protect his image.
He's the crazy one, and everybody is getting more crazy than he is. And as Nikki Haley pointed out when she was telling the truth for a couple of weeks in the spring, I mean, say it's 74, 75 degrees, he's saying it's freezing. He's the lies about the election. I mean, he's mentally unstable and he's getting worse. And we can see it every day in the courthouse. We can see it when he's standing out there complaining about the temperature when thermometers in the courtroom.
But off camera, her husband George was tweeting his way into Trump's nightmares, calling him everything from incompetent to unfit for office. Imagine trying to run damage control for your boss while your spouse publicly dismantles everything your boss stands for. By Kellyanne's own admission, George's relentless criticism made her feel like he had chosen his opposition to Trump over their marriage. It wasn't hard to see the cracks forming, and everyone else saw them too. Even their teenage daughter, Claudia, got pulled into the chaos and started sharing the family drama on TikTok. She openly criticized her parents, calling out their political stances and airing arguments for the world to see. It got so bad that she even accused Kellyanne of trying to silence her by sending her to boarding school. The Conways weren't just a family at war, they became a viral middle finger to Trump's world, exposing how toxic his influence had become in their lives.
I believe that even if things turn around publicly, I don't think they're going to turn around publicly fast enough to prevent some of the bad things that I think are going to happen. And the administration did in a whole bunch of agencies was fire en masse the probationary employees. And I don't remember exactly how long you're a probationary employee when you're hired, and it has to be individualized. They did not do that because they just fired everybody en masse. They pretend that, oh yes, we made a determination, but that's it's bullshit.
The effects weren't just personal. Trump's campaign staff were reportedly losing their minds trying to keep him focused. Leaks of frustration, desperate attempts to distract him with positive tweets, nothing worked. Conway's calm takedown wasn't just proving a point, it was creating such dysfunction that even Trump's inner circle couldn't keep it together. One thing was clear: when loyalty was demanded instead of earned, it left nothing but chaos behind. And for Trump, it hit closer to home than he ever expected. When loyalty turns into a cage, it starts to crush everything inside it. Trump's obsession with absolute devotion wasn't just a poison to his political career, it seeped straight into his personal life. The demand for loyalty left frustrated staff scrambling, family bonds breaking, and criticism spiraling into chaos he couldn't contain. Conway's calm dismantling wasn't just about failed businesses or ego. It exposed the cracks Trump himself created, all because he couldn't handle the simplest truth. Facts don't care about his feelings. Maybe one day he'll learn this, but if history's any guide, don't count on it anytime soon.